Okay, it is now officially been a little over a month since I decided to follow my joy and pursue a business, a dream of mine of designing my own brand of luggage, SLb&x. And if you caught a few of my latest videos, you may recall that I am pursuing this endeavor delusionally without any business experience whatsoever and zero experience designing a product and developing a product. Yeah, the learning curve might as well be as steep as Mount Everest. Every day I find myself wrapping my brain around the travel retail industry, whether that be manufacturing costs, supply chain issues, shipping costs, tariffs, and a mountain of business acronyms that are quite intimidating and that I have to learn every day. It's very overwhelming, to say the least. But nothing has added more to my anxiety than talking about one big, scary word, and that is money. I would say in society in general, talking about money is pretty taboo. And if I'm honest, I haven't always been the best steward of my finances. In my 20s, I was living on $1 and a dream, surviving off ramen noodles and Doritos, amazed I made it out alive. I was lucky in many ways. My parents paid for my undergrad and let me move back home rent-free. I saved just enough, about $2,700, to move out into a townhome with a roommate splitting $750 a month rent. Back then I worked at Walt Disney World for $9.25 an hour, clocking in 60-hour work weeks, and somehow I made it work. I even bought my first house at 22 thanks to a $1,000 gift from my dad for the earnest money. Back then I knew that if I ever fell flat on my face, I would have my parents there to catch me. And for that, I am eternally grateful. Now, fast forward 10, 15 years, I'm almost 40 years old. I'm married, but independent. I have a good job, not rich, but we do live comfortably. So you might ask, why now? Why now am I choosing to take on this massive risk of starting a business from scratch without zero business experience and no investment? And if I have to answer that question and look back at my career, I find that I always come back full circle to the same point. I may start a new job, get really excited about it, but 3 to 5 years in, I'm still thinking about my freedom and this fear that I have of regret if I don't try to forge a path for my life that feels the most like my essential self. But with all that said, this is where my anxiety really starts to kick in. How in the hell am I going to pay for this? So when I decided that I would go for it and pursue starting my own business, I dove headfirst into tons of business-related content, whether that be books, blogs, founder videos, etc. And I came across this word that I think perfectly describes what I'm doing and what most, entrepreneurs and founders do. And that is called bootstrapping. So, according to Google, bootstrapping is building your own business using your own money. Essentially, pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps, right? You're using your personal savings, some credit cards, side income, without the use of any external funding, at least to start. And the idea, it says, is to minimize reliance on investors or loans. It's all about controlling your costs, staying lean, and building your business from what you have. Scary as shit. But then I started thinking about all of the financial risks that we take as part of our normal lives. Things that are just kind of baked in, if you will. Most of us, if not all of us, I'm sure watching, have likely taken out a loan for a car. Typically a 5 to 6 year commitment, right? We've hopefully have had the privilege to purchase a home. Talk about a 30-year mortgage and commitment. But spending a few $1,000s to build your own business and dream career, that's the part that makes us want to shit our pants, right? And honestly, I am fucking terrified because it's not just my life that's at risk. My husband's life is intertwined with mine. And we've obviously had to have many conversations to ensure that he knows what is at stake because our lives are connected. He is my life partner. And I'm so thankful and grateful that, he's very supportive and always has been very supportive of me and wants to see me fulfill my greatest potential. But then I also asked someone to come on as co-founder and help me build this thing. And this is someone that has his own family, his own career, time that's being taken away from that to help me build this business without any assurance that it's actually going to work out. That's pressure. And I don't want to let my husband down. I don't want to let my business partner down. And I don't want to let myself down. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have supportive family and friends who really believe in me, sometimes more than I believe in myself. But I think what's really pushing me forward is the fact that if I don't try, I'll spend the next 25 years at an okay job that I just don't love. And for me, that would be an even greater failure. So, to steal a line from the incomparable Jim Carrey, my mantra has to be,
you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
All right, so by now you're probably wondering how much it is actually costing me to start. And I want to talk numbers specifically because transparency during this process of building in public is going to be very important to me. And, I'm so thankful for the entrepreneurs and founders who, whether it be on a podcast or in their books, have been so transparent in sharing their initial expenses and budgets. If anything, even if it's unrelated and it's not really helpful because we're in completely different spaces in terms of what we're trying to do, it helps kind of ease a little bit of anxiety and lets me know that the barrier of entry isn't as high as one might think it is. So, like I said, I started, kind of pursuing this dream of building a business a little bit over a month ago, and I've actually started to spend some money. So I want to go through line by line what I have spent and what I've done so far. So the first thing I did once I determined and set a name for the business, I went and purchased 2 domains. SLb&x will be kind of like the front-facing domain website for the business and where I intend on selling products. I don't have a website yet. Right now, it's just linked to my travel blog site, but eventually I'll migrate it over to like either a WordPress account, e-commerce page, or Shopify, which I've also heard really incredible things about, especially with regards to small businesses trying to get their footing. And then I also purchased SLb&x.com, which is the actual name of the LLC. Those 2 domains cost me around $40 and it's very nominal pricing, and you can purchase domains 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It just depends for how long you want it. Like I said, I wasn't sure when I bought them, a couple months ago, if I would actually take the steps in pursuing this. So I think I bought them for like 1 or 2 years now, but that is a recurring cost that you'll have to take into account. The next thing I did was hired a graphic designer on a gig website called Fiverr. If you haven't been on Fiverr, it is amazing the vast amount of skill and services that are offered on there. And these people are professionals and they're amazing. The person who's editing this YouTube video currently, I've been working with him now over a year, found him on Fiverr, and I honestly don't know what this channel would even be without him. I'm so thankful and grateful to him and his team for helping me build this dream here on YouTube. I tell him all the time. So yeah, Fiverr is a great place to go if you need help with lots of facets of your business. And I just happened to find this really wonderful woman. I think she's Bangladeshi actually, and you're gonna die when I tell you on the first round, she did my logo, freaking nailed it, and only cost me $35. Crazy, because I am so in love with my logo and I hope to use her again in the future because she's just a tremendous talent. Anyway, the next thing I did was set up 2 business Gmail accounts, one for myself and one for my business partner. The Gmail accounts are a recurring expense. They're about $18 a month per email, which kind of seems like a lot, but to be honest, like I spent $18 on a salad for lunch and I get upset about that. So for me, I look at it as a true investment to just kind of separate my personal, begin to, have that corporate veil separating my personal email from business related emails and communications. Then I took the next big step in officially incorporating Saman Baggage and securing a registered agent, which is required by the state that I'm incorporated in, and I believe all in any state in the U.S. And that upfront cost was about $200. I knew I would need to track every single penny, and I've been so meticulous about accounting because, the thing that scares me the most of not getting this right are taxes and the IRS coming after me. So I'll probably even look into, as we start to build and get our business account, getting like a QuickBooks, or I've already talked to my CPA to try and kind of set myself up for success now instead of waiting for later, saving all of these receipts. I have an Excel sheet of all of my expenses. And if you saw my latest YouTube video, you'd know that I picked up a part-time job in addition to my full-time job. It only pays like $15 an hour, nothing special. But I have to say, getting a $200, $300 extra paycheck every other week is going directly into paying and funding for this dream. So for me, I think it's, time well spent. If it means I have that extra money to pay for logo design and consulting sessions with an industrial designer for my bag and upcoming prototyping, which is going to be very expensive. So beyond those first steps, I've spent money hiring 2 designers for what will probably be my first product, which is a premium vacuum compression packing cube. I hired 2 different designers to help me with various levels of experience, I guess, on the platform. From what I could tell, they both did an incredible job, and it cost me around $250. And they essentially take my sketch and turn it into a tech pack, which is kind of like a blueprint for manufacturers, like a 2D drawing of your product, and you hand it over to the manufacturer and it has the right specifications and dimensions of the product. So they both did an incredible job with that. $250, not really that much money in the great scheme of things. However, big costs are coming because now I'll have to start building molds for that product and small batch prototypes for the packing cube design, which will likely run me around $1,500 to $2,000 just for a sample batch, okay? Not even for a full minimum order quantity bulk order. So as I work also with the industrial designers and engineers to kind of develop the concept of my carry-on bag on the side. And that is costing me currently between $3,000 and $5,000. And that's just for development. Again, that's separate and apart from molding and prototyping, the actual product when the design is ready. So right now I've spent out of pocket about $4,000. And some of this I've pulled out of savings, some of this I've charged to my credit cards. And I'm also applying for grants for women and minority founders. These grants can range anywhere between $1,000 and $25,000, which is obviously a substantial amount of money. They're very competitive, but there is a lot of money and opportunity there if you want to go to your local Chamber of Commerce or, look at the Small Business Association. There's tons of opportunities there and organizations who want to help people like you get started. And that is where we are, folks. I am so proud, still scared shitless, but really proud to have finally moved out of phase 1 of my little ChatGPT experiment of building a business with zero experience or financial investment. If you haven't checked out that video, click this link just up here in this corner. But now we're in phase 2 where we're really getting into real development. And this feels kind of like I'm at a crossroads where I'm now starting to take on more financial risk. And, I say this all the time, but I'm just really hoping that the universe kind of rewards my courage. Was there anything about my first month's budget or expenses that surprised you? I would love to hear from you down in the comments. If you have any questions or comments, please do share. If you're also starting up a business or a prospective entrepreneur, where are you in your process? How is that going? Do you have any advice for people like me and viewers watching? Comment down below. At your page if you talk about it, help a sister out. I'm down to hear and learn as much as possible. Ultimately, your opinion matters the most. Otherwise, all of this that I'm doing is meaningless. I'm building a product in the hopes that it makes your travel, more functional, more stylish, more intentional, and just your journey a lot more smoother. Something that you're happy to carry your story and your belongings in. So anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for following me on this crazy ass journey. Let's keep building this brand together. Thank you again, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.